much for joining. Today is November 22nd, 2023, and this meeting is for our LJ Realty team, and we will talk about the interest rates and a couple of other good topics to go over. So let's get started. So the good news is that the interest rates have been dropping week over week now. And that's exactly what we want to see for as a realtor when you're talking to your clients. Are interest rates going up or they're going down? For past week, they have been going down. According to Freddie Mac, the national averages were around 7.44 for last week. But better yet, according to your Mortgage News Daily, they were around 7.33 as of this morning. We will have a new update in few hours, but 7.33 is a really solid number compared to 8.03 what your clients were going through about a week ago, right? So this is a good conversation to have with your clients because you guys are paying attention to the interest rates on weekly basis. And if your clients are, hey, they were 8%, like no, maybe the interest rate did come down, and you guys can check online yourself. And you guys can guide your clients to mortgagenewsdaily.com so they can keep an eye on it themselves. You're bringing value to your client, and that's how they're gonna trust you in this home buying process. For your FHA loans, they were even at lower 6.66. That's even better. Pros and cons to your FHA versus conventional. Your loan officer can give you a full breakdown of that. Okay. What was in the news? Mainly the news that we were just talking about, the interest rates, right? The mortgage demand jumps to 6 week high as interest rates continue to drop. And that's what we have been seeing. And that's what you want to send that message to your clients as well. CNET, CNBC, Daily Mail, Mortgage News Daily all had the similar headlines that the interest rates are falling to 7.44. Is it offering a hope to the home buyers? The home buyers, as we know, they were stuck in this situation, or they still are compared to if they want to wait for until 5 or 6%. Is that the mortgage payment that they have on monthly basis is too high? Even though the house that you guys are showing them, they love the house, but when they're talking to their loan officer, the mortgage payment is too high. So they're simply willing to wait another, God knows how long they want to wait, right? Another headlines was that rates slipped to third week, for the third week straight now. That those are just facts. Um, New permits, right? These are people who are building the houses. They're gaining some potential as well. They're, hopefully we will have more buyers or more home builders actually trying to build these properties in the near future, right? On the other hand, there are a lot of home buyers that have no mortgages. They have no mortgage payment. And some of us say, hey, this is unheard of. But just know nearly 40% of these home buyers do not have any mortgage. They own the property outright. So what does that mean? If the property is valued at $500,000 today, they have $500,000 worth of asset that's sitting in their hand. On the other hand, if you're purchasing a house today and you guys are putting down 3% down payment, 5% down payment, guess what? You only own that five or whatever equity you have built in that house. When you just bought it, you don't have any equity except for the money that you initially put in. Everything else that you're paying the mortgage to, you want to see this one day. So when someone asks you, hey, how many people actually have mortgages, you can say around 60% of the people in America have mortgages, around 40% do not, right? So that should be your client's ultimate goal too. They purchase the property, especially those people that have interest rates below 4%, and there was a lot of them around COVID time. Those people will go through this one day. If they don't make any large, they don't do anything, they don't sell the property or they don't refinance, eventually that mortgage will go away, right? Because they're locked in at such a low interest rate. So this number should increase over the years. People who have to sell, they have to do an upgrade to the house, or their family is growing, or their job is changing and they have to move, they will do that. But people who are locked in at a low interest rate, they're simply gonna have that mortgage free one day, right? Another good news for the VA, Department of Veterans Affairs, they're saying that they're pausing the loan for foreclosures. So even people who have hard time making these monthly payments, instead of going through foreclosures, they're simply pausing it for 6 months. We had a similar situation during COVID where everybody was paused. It doesn't matter if it was a VA loan, if it was a FHA conventional, everything was paused for at least a year. So we are seeing this with the VA department now, so that's a good news for those homeowners that are facing some challenges or some hardship at this moment. Okay. And the good news for the rental is that the rentals are decreasing. So if you're on the rental side and if your client or if the landlord is asking for $3,000 for 3 bedrooms, whatever the specs are, do your comps. And if you want to tell them, hey, we only offering you 2,900 or 2,800, they might go with it. So if overall the rental the rate is decreasing, your offer should decrease as well. Okay. And how about the realtors confidence index, right? Activities are low overall. We see that in our office. We see that with other, brokerages out there, other realtors I speak to on regular basis. Similar situation. I have a buyer, but the buyer is not ready, and we have to respect, their decision in one way or another. But at the same time, there's a cost of waiting as well for that same client. Who's suffering is our realtors. You guys are spending some money on advertisement on Zillow and elsewhere, and the results are not there just because your clients are not ready. End of the day, we can spend X amount of money. If your client are not buying, what's the point? So we know that the confidence index overall is on the lower end. We have this new lawsuit that's going on with the commission. Some buyer or some agents feel like, hey, I cannot have this conversation with my buyers for them to pay me. Guess what? Those realtors will lose out, right? Who's going to succeed is the survival of the fittest. We're going to survive whoever is actually hustling the most. If you're going to be with your clients, staying up to date with them, they will probably pay you that commission that you're asking for, or at least negotiate it. Okay. Next is your down payment savings. You want to bring value to your clients, tell them, hey, they might say, hey, I don't have enough savings right now. Say, hey, here's some tips for you. Have it open a dedicated account that's going to be just for your savings, right? Automate these savings. Let's say you want to put in $100 every week into that savings, do that. You want to put $1,000 every month, one lump sum, do that. Whatever it is, just be consistent with it and keep throwing money into that savings account that you're going to use for your down payment. And you want to curb your unnecessary spendings. You don't want to spend anywhere or anything because you're about to make a big purchase. If you're trying to buy if you're trying to buy a house that's going to be $500,000, you should stay away from your credit cards or opening up new credit cards or just buying a nice jewelry or anything like that because you want to purchase a house. So you have to choose wisely, right? And there are some down payment assistance programs out there that we can talk about, and you as a realtor should know these, and you should be able to guide your clients on that down payment. And that down payment plays a huge role when it comes to your purchasing a house. Along with that, your credit scores, right? How important your credit scores? Very important. We say, hey, if your credit score is below 580, you cannot get a mortgage in most cases, right? Even we had a client recently making $200,000, but the credit scores were at 560, right? Can we give them a mortgage today? Simply cannot. You can be making X amount of money, but you have to, um, meet the requirements of your credit scores. So how are you going to raise your credit scores? So this particular example that we're giving, he has to bring him 20 points up. He's at 560. He needs to bring it at 580. Is it doable? Very much so. Well, how long will that take? Really depends on his situation, but at least 30 to 60 days, right, for that cycle to change. And he has to make sure that he waits to apply for any new credit or financing. You're gonna make a purchase for a house. You don't want to go to a car dealership and get a car. You simply don't want to do that. You want to pay down your debt. Let's say you have a $3,000 credit card, $5,000 credit card. You want to pay that down much as possible. Okay. And if you've been with one of the companies, let's say you have a Discover card and you've been with them for 5 years, 7 years, you want to call them up and you want to ask them if they can request higher limits. What that will do is that they will, your debt to income ratio will change. You have this much limit, but you're not using all the way. Okay. And if you feel like there's enough changes that's been made, you can ask to be rescored. Okay. And if you're getting a mortgage, you don't want to simply go to one person and then wait another 30 days and go to another mortgage company. If you're going to shop around with, multiple lenders within that 45-day window time. So it doesn't hurt your credit as much. You went with Chase, you went with TD Bank, you came to LJ, do all three of them in one shot and then compare. So these are the little things you want to guide your clients regarding down payment and your credit scores. Okay. These slides that I got, the reason I chose these are from listreport.com. It's a good tool for the realtor. It's a free tool for the realtor. Our loan officers are sending you links for this list report so you guys can use slides like this for your social media, right? So you can have an online presence for that. Okay. And we spoke about this. Our commission is changing, right? Is it affecting every one of the deals? No. There are many buyers and many sellers who are willing to pay the way they were paying before. But just know that buyers agents will have to work harder to prove their value. You would have, there will be some buyers simply cannot pay those commission to you. They will need to get it financed. How that's going to be happening is going to be through seller's concession. There are some pros and cons to that. And a loan officer mentioned last time, if there's an appraisal doesn't meet that price, then we will have a problem. And it's going to be a competition between other realtors. So someone might ask for 3%, another will ask for 2%, another will 1. And depending on the buyer, see, they will decide where the value is and how much they're willing to pay. But just know the competition is going to get real next year. Okay. And how are you going to bring value to these people, right? These clients, people do business with other people that they know, like, and trust, right? They already know you in some way or form because they see you online or they're connecting with you. They have to like you after talking to you, right? You have to be presentable and and they have to like you on that note. How are they going to trust you when you keep telling them the whole process in details? So this way they know that, hey, I can trust this person, he's going to take me all the way to the closing. You want to answer all their questions that they have regarding the whole process. And if they're not willing to sign an agreement with you, simply walk away and say, hey, I'm a professional, I'm a realtor, I want to spend my time with you if there's going to be, if I'm going to get paid. I'm not asking you to pay double if I'm getting paid from the seller side, but at least if I'm not getting paid from the other side, I have to get paid. I'm not working for free. And if you're not willing to sign this document, I'm sorry, I cannot work with you, right? You need to have some sort of authority against these, buyers. Otherwise, if they're not signing with you today, they will give you a hard time paying you later on. Okay. And we say how long should your presentation should be? At least 45 minutes, right? You want to bring them into the office, you want to bring them to the desk here, and you want to, go over the whole process with them, right? Do you want to do this over the phone? Absolutely not. Nobody's going to sign any documents over the phone for you guys, right? You cannot say, hey, I'm going to send you an e-signature to sign and do this. They will not do that in most cases. You would have to bring them into the office and talk to them in details, have a presentation, have a printout of that PDF. Feel free to use that our printer here to print out your presentation. If you need help printing one, just tell us. We already have pre-made. But if you want to change it in your language and anything that you want in your format, do that wherever you're comfortable, right? If you have an iPad or laptop, bring that in and talk to your clients, right? These are the 6 benefits that every realtor should be presenting to your buyers. Number one is that you're going to shorten their home search. Doesn't matter if they're ready today or not. Once they've started working with you, you're going to give them the listing that exactly which area they want to be in, the specs for the house, and you want to shorten their home search much as possible. and never discourage them from going on Zillow or any other websites, right? Tell them, go to those websites, but I'm competing with those websites. I'll be sending you links. But if it happens to be you see an old listing, maybe 60 days old or 90-day old property on Zillow, just send me. Let me take a look at it. Right? Have that open conversation with them. No need to hide anything, and tell them number two is going to be, I'm going to negotiate for you, not just the price. I'm going to make sure your home appraisal contingencies in the contract, your bank appraisal contingencies is in the contract. So I'm going to protect you in so many ways. So it's just not negotiating the price. When it comes to price, I have tools. I have geodata, I have RPR, I have Stratus, I have different tools that we can check the price before we put in the offer. Okay. Number three is that I have a list of all the trusted providers that you're going to use part of this transaction. I don't want you to be Googling and trying to find someone that's not trustworthy. I'm going to give you people that you can trust, or even I can call, and we can be confident that this person is on your side. This could be a home inspector, it could be an attorney, it could be a lender, right? There's going to be different people that's going to be part of this deal. I'm going to be the guide for you to take you all the way, right? Number four is that I'm always have the knowledge for the local market. Doesn't matter which area you want to be in. I'm serving Long Island. I know Long Island inside out. I'm serving Queens. I know my Queens area inside out. Which area do you want to be in, right? If it's not your area, if it's something that's out of your area, let's say they want to be really deep in Long Island, simply refer another agent and get your referral fee. Okay. And number five is that every time I see a negative thing about this property or deal, I'm going to point that out right away. Why? Because I have your best interest. Right? You're purchasing a house. I'm going to put your best interest first. So I'm going to show you every property that's available and point out anything that's negative about that property or the deal. And number six, guiding them all the way and going through all the steps for those. Okay. And tell them, when you're purchasing a house, you can do it in three different ways, right? There's different options for your buyer. A is going to be, you buy a perfect home, you buy a brand new house. B, you're going to build a home from scratch. Or C, you want to fix that up, right? Fix it up in your own way. So if it's a first time home buyer, there's no perfect house. There is no way that you can get a brand new house for the lowest price possible. It's the other way around. If the house is built already, the person who's building it or who's flipping it is going to make that money, right? So in section A, or letter A here, this option here, the house will be perfect, but you will pay the premium, right? Or you can get a home, you can build a home from scratch. There's a lot of headaches in that. You can buy a land, but it's not impossible. People do it all the time, but it's time consuming. A lot of headaches going with department of the buildings to get your approvals, working with the architect, and going from scratch all the way to built is going to take you at least 1 to 2 years, right? Those are realistic things. If you're not experienced in this part, it might take you even longer. Okay. And C is going to be what most people go with if it's your first time home buyer. You want to fix it up. You want to buy a house that's maybe built in 1950s, 1960s, and it needs work, right? Because it needs a lot of work. The kitchen needs to be upgraded. The living room needs to be upgraded. The bathroom needs to be upgraded. Guess what? We have to put in the price, right? That's going to be on the lower end, and then add all the cost that's going to go into it and fixing that up. This piece right here, letter C, is going to be your option that most home buyers do choose, because they can renovate the property within few months, right? And be in that property in within few months. And they're getting a pretty good deal because the house is already beat up. So the sale price is not on the higher end, is on the lower end. Okay. Any questions on this, guys, so far? All right, guys. So when you guys are asking for this commission now, right? This is if only if you're not getting paid from the seller side. If you're having that conversation, and if they say, "Hey, I need some sort of help," and they are first time home buyer, One of our lenders, UWM, is started offering home ready SPCP, which stands for Special Purpose Credit Program. It's a $5,000 grant, right? So you don't have to pay that back. So you only qualify if you live in New York City right now or New York State overall, and there's no income limits. So simply the lender will provide this $5,000 grant if you're a first-time home buyer, right? Does everybody qualifies? No. Does every property qualifies? No. How are we going to find out? You can simply have your client come to our office, and one of the loan officer can actually run their information and see if they qualify for this $5,000 grant or not. There's no income restrictions, but the area does matter, so they have to come to our office and to find out if they qualify or not. On top of that, they will give another $500 towards 1 year home warranty, and they will give $500 towards appraisal cost, right? So almost it is $6,000 grant in total up to. So you really want to take advantage of that. So you can tell them, hey, our lenders have this program. Maybe you qualify. Let's go. Even if you are getting paid commission from the other side, doesn't matter. Let them see if they qualify for this grant or not. Okay. All right, guys. This is where I need you. Some of you guys were in our office meeting here, so some of you guys were not. So I just want to go over this real quick with you guys. How much does a home inspection cost for a single family? Anyone? 300 to $500. So that's good. Anybody agrees, disagrees? Right? So we say some inspector, let's say you are showing a house deep in Long Island, right? And you have an inspector that's serving Queens. If that person is asking for more than this, more than 500, more than $600 for inspection for a single family, it's too much. You have to find out the reason behind it. Is it too far for him to go there? Then, if it is, you want to find somebody that's local. As a realtor, we should know these fees. So if your client is relying on you, hey, someone is charging me $700 for home inspection, right away it should be like, hey, this is on the higher end. We need to make sure that you're not paying this much. Why are you paying $700 for home inspection? On the lowest end, we have seen around 250, but some of these guys will do, are not the most professional. So you don't want on the lowest end, you want somebody that's going to actually do the job and charge a fair amount. Cheapest is not always the best option, right? And same for the most expensive. So between $300 and $500 should be your normal. How about your home insurance? How much that cost for a single family? Anyone? So 12 to 1400 is on the lower end these days. Even us being an insurance agent here, there are some companies, like most of the companies are raising their renewal rates. So 12 to 1400 is definitely on the lower end. If they can get anything below 1500, it is good for a single family. Anything above 1500, you should start shopping around just to compare those prices, right? So 1500 should be the number that you want to mention. Okay. How about your title insurance? That will cover you from someone knocking on the door and saying, this is my house. I own this house and not you. So you're paying this only one time. Uh, Title insurance when you're purchasing a house, how much does that cost? Anyone? Take a guess. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. 3,000 is a good number. So for title, around 3,000. Some of them are 4,000, some of them are 2,000, but around 3,000 is a good number, Julian. Right? There's a lender's paid. Oh, sorry. There's a lender's insurance and there's owner's insurance. You want to have both of them. It will depend from lender to lender, but you're talking in thousands for your title insurance. The good thing about title insurance is a one-time fee. You pay at the closing, and that title insurance is activated and stays active until you sell that property. Okay. Next is your bank appraisal. This is when the bank is coming to the house and making sure whatever value you are purchasing the house for, that the value is actually there. If you're purchasing for $500,000, they're doing and checking the house, they're inspecting it, making sure it is worth $500,000. How much does that cost? 500,000, 2,000 bank appraisal? Anyone? It is a good number, usually a little bit lower. Is between $600 and $800 in most cases, but around on the lower end, we can see 700, 500, but average, that's a good number, between 6 and 800. Okay. So how about survey? Survey is done for the property to make sure that the boundary is good, the boundaries, the lot size is good, whatever you're purchasing, right? This is your area you're purchasing. Again, it's going to be a one-time fee for them, and how much that is. Anyone? No, on the lower end. Lower end. Yeah. No, a couple of hundred is too low, but at least a good number is between 5 and 700. 500 on the lower end, 700 on the higher end. Okay. Attorney fees. What is too much? What's too little for attorney fees? Anyone? Attorney fees. Perfect. Yeah. Between 1,400, definitely anybody. We have seen closing attorney fees charge 1,200. If they do, that's great. Anything around between 14 and 2,000, that's a really good number. Okay. Anybody charging over $2,000, find out why. Okay. We have done that. We have seen it where attorneys are charging a portion the way they're charging 1,400. Let's say they're saying, hey, I'm going to charge you 1,400. They're charging 1,400 upfront, and then at the closing table they're charging another 5 or 600 bucks. You don't want that. Whatever the fee is, just tell them to be upfront. If your client already has an attorney they've been using for quite some time, let them use that. But when it comes to fees, just it shouldn't be more than $2,000 for any deal. Okay. So the point of this is that this is the conversation you're having with your clients when you're presenting. When the home inspection time comes, don't you think the client is going to ask you guys, hey, how much the inspection cost? And if you guys say in thousands, then we have a problem, right? The whole point here is that you guys know these fees inside out so you guys can tell your clients and be confident about it when you're doing it. Okay. Some of these guys are telling you, your clients, hey, I don't have a pre-approval, I don't want to go get a pre-approval right now, but keep showing me houses. They're wasting your time in some sense or not. Some of you guys do want to work with those clients, some of you guys do not. But when you're talking to them, I just want you to help them point this out, that once you have a pre-approval letter, first of all, when you're getting a pre-approval, nobody should be doing a hard inquiry on your credit. That's their number one concerns. Hey, will there be a hard pull on my credit, or will there be a soft pull? You guys should know that if it's a hard pull, it hurts the credit scores. If it's a soft pull, it does not. So there's a lot of lenders. There's some lenders who are not ethical, will do a hard pull so the client sticks with them. Our loan officers do not do that, right? Our loan officers will do a soft pull just to see what their credit scores look like right now. Before the closing, they will do a hard pull because hard pull is required before the closing. But you don't want to do a soft pull or a hard pull in the beginning. You want to do a soft pull in the beginning. So once you do that, it will, your loan officer will tell you it will determine your loan amount. You can know, hey, you have this much down payment. Now you know what your loan amount is going to be. It will narrow down your home search. Instead of saying, hey, I'm looking for $1 million house, maybe you only qualify for $800,000. So why are you going to be looking at $1 million house when you qualify for less? It could be the other way around. Maybe you think that you qualify for $800,000 and all of a sudden you get a pre-approval for $1 million. You would not know this until you go speak to a loan officer, right? Once you have a pre-approval, it positions you as a serious buyer, right? And it helps you present stronger offers, and it proves your credit worthiness to the seller. So we know that the pre-approval letter is required when we are sending out an offer sheet. So you want to make sure they get this done beforehand. Okay. Another positive thing about MLS, guys, some of us, when we're listing properties on MLS Stratus, it could be, a listing for a rental or for sale property. And, we list it and then maybe another day goes by and then we get a fine for $50 or $100. Hey, there was, improper use of data fields, right? That's a very common one. When you're putting in the remarks, you say, hey, text me, call me, and there was a violation and you did not know this. So Stratus is coming out with the warning pop-ups where it will tell you that, hey, this word that you're about to put in or that you just put in, it's a violation, fix it. So that's a really good thing for all of our realtors. It will save us hundreds and hundreds of dollars in fines and fees that we're paying MLS for no reason, right? So simply put, next time you have a listing, it will, improper use of data fields will get checked through these warning messages. Okay. Okay. For our rental side, right? We have the rental applications through Rent Spree is part of MLS now. So it's, charges $20 for screening your clients, your tenants, and your client pays directly to them. They simply get the report. Once they get the report, they send it to you along with the full application. So if you have a tenant that wants to do a credit check, you want to forward their information or you want to guide them to rentspree.com. Excuse me, guys. Okay. It's a really good software. It's a very clean, it's part of MLS and it only charges $20 to do the whole 9 yards. Okay. Especially if you're doing rentals, you can take your own photos. I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to pay someone $100, or 150 or 170. Some of these guys charging just for photos, right? But there are some pros and cons to that, but when it comes to rental, you can take your own photos. We're okay with it. But there's some do's and don'ts that you want to do when you're shooting for these photos using your phone, right? That don't forget to turn on the lights, right? Some of us take some photos just with our flash and there's not enough lighting. Make sure there's enough light in that into that room that you're taking photos of. If there's any doors, you can open the doors so more light can come in. You should edit those photos before you post them in any way form you can, right? You don't want to change up the whole look, but if you can just use some filters and it looks more pleasing, use those. You don't want to leave the fans on. We have seen in that some of the photos the fans are on and it looks even more blurry when you're taking the photos. So just make sure that you turn off the fans. Okay. As we said that if you have a rental listing, you can take your photos right from your phone, but if it's for sale, you should not be taking the photos. Why? Because you're telling your owner or the seller in one hand that, hey, I'm a professional realtor, but I'm not a professional photographer, right? They will judge you, right? You want to hire a professional photographer and get that job done. You're asking them to pay you X amount of percentage, commission, and then all of a sudden you don't want to spend that 100 or $200 for professional photos. That's going to be a really red flag to the owner. Okay, so you want to make sure that you tell them, hey, I'm taking, you sign the documents. In next 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to have someone come in, a professional photographer, and I'm going to take your photos, right? Some of us, after we look at the photos, like, hey, I could have done it. Really, like, you still don't want to be that person that's taking your own photos for those listings. Anybody disagrees with that? Somebody still want to take their own photos? Yeah, rentals is fine. Rentals is fine because you're only taking it, hey, it's a, two bedroom, three bedroom, you're taking photos of those, no problem. But when you're trying to sell $1 million property or, half $1 million property and you want to take professional photos, right? Unless you really got it. If you happens to be you're a professional photographer, you take your equipment, you're doing it. Again, you're the listing agent. You're telling your seller that, hey, I'm going to have a professional photographer come in. It's going to cost me money. So this way they know that you're already invested. And same thing when you tell them, hey, I'm going to sell your property in no time. I'm going to be pushing advertisement online. What does that mean? The advertisement money is coming from your pocket. So this is the difference. Hiring a photographer, you guys are investing your money into this person's property. So this way they know that you're serious, right? They made the right choice. All right. Yeah, yeah. They're not, and the prices are going up, and depending on how far they have to travel, right? That plays a major role. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. No, I think we just gotta work with a different person. I truly feel your pain. I have done it too, where, yeah, the photo yeah. So we just gotta find someone that's better, right? But yeah, just someone better. Yeah. Yeah. And then they're sending you so many zip files, yeah, and some of these files are yeah, really large too, so there's some specs that you wanna tell them upfront, but you wanna, since you're paying them, you wanna make sure you're satisfied with that too, because you're hiring someone else for you for the seller has to be happy with it, and some of us, we would put some photos first, and then we get a professional photographer and try to upload them. Guess what? Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes it's hard for Zillow and other websites to get pick up use new photos that you guys put in. Okay. Yeah. So the old ones will not go away. They sometimes they stay there, and the homeowner is really frustrated with you just on the photo section. Forget about showing the property or that. And they say, hey, if you can't get the photos right, how are you going to sell this property? So again, your owners are judging you. Be professional, stay on top of your game, and take professional photo. If you're not happy with one person, next time let's change it to someone else that's gonna get the job done, right? All right, guys. Next is that let's talk about being a realtor in 2024, right? 2023 is done. It's already gone. We already, Thanksgiving is here. So we're done with 2023. So next is going to be 2024. So what are your current goals and target, right? You want to aim to increase your sales volume. I don't care what have you done this year or year before this, right? During COVID time, there was a lot of new realtors came into the market because there was a huge demand, and now we're seeing the other way around. Hey, I'm not too fully occupied, on the real estate side because I have a lot going on the other side, my other part-time or full-time. If you're happy, if you're satisfied with the other job, there's no issues. This is for the people who really want to succeed in real estate. If you see a future in real estate, you have to aim higher in your sales volume. I have to get more clients. I have to expand my client database, right? I don't care what number you have today, you can increase those, right? This was yesterday's scenario. I was at the bank and I was waiting. It just happened to be I heard someone, they were getting their cashier's check, and I recognized that voice. And that was a client of ours, right? And she is part of one of you guys. I don't know which 60/40 lead that we gave to you guys. And that person is purchasing this. Their closing is happening today. So this was yesterday. Their closing was happening today. And when I spoke to her, and she said, "Hey, another agent showed me the property. I like the property, went under contract about 2 months ago, and we're closing tomorrow." And I said, "Hey, were you, in touch with our client? I mean, our agent?" It's like, "Hey, the person did not keep in touch with me. It's been more than 4 months now," right? So simply put, like, hey, stick with your clients, or guess what? They will go elsewhere, right? They're not relying on one agent. Hey, this person, same thing goes with the contract. They're not gonna rely on you guys all the way. We have to be on top of our game. You have someone in your database, follow up with them much as possible, right? And if you want to specialize in one particular market or segment, it's perfectly fine. We have few agents that just focus on the rentals, few agents just on the commercial side. Some of them are just doing single family properties, right? Everybody got their own thing. It's like if you really want to pick out something. Yeah, Josh? Yeah. Okay. So that $5,000 earlier only for conventional. But again, I told them some people will qualify, some will not. They can guide them to our us as loan officers. They come talk to Terlochin, they come talk to you or one of other loan officers, and that person will know if they qualify on what note. But just know there's a program available for $5,000 grant. Not everybody qualifies, but maybe we can help them out. All right. All right, guys, coming back to this now. So you want to specialize in an area, and like I said, do not say no to rentals. Rental is a great way of making money and commission on, as a realtor. And how do you approach your clients, right? How are you building your relationship with these clients, right? You need to have some strategies of connecting with your clients. You need to have a routine, like, hey, this time of the day, it could be for half an hour or an hour. You guys are independent contractors, you guys pick your timing. Hey, I'm going to connect with my clients in one way or another. I'm not going to just rely on KV Core, just sending them links. I'm going to follow up, I'm going to call them, see how their situation is changing, right? If they say interest rate is too high, say, guess what? They came down a little bit as of last week, right? Putting them informed with the market, it goes a long way, right? And you want to understand their needs and maintain their communication until they close. If they're in your database and you feel like they're purchasing a house, they will purchase a house sometime soon, right? When that time comes, nobody will know. But the day you give up on that client is the day that they're leaving you for sure. And they're going to go elsewhere, whoever is ready, whoever is hungry for that deal, right? And what market strategies are you going to be using? You need to have an online presence. Every one of you guys needs to have some sort of online presence. If you're not comfortable with the cameras, you can just create some canvas and promote those much as possible. But you need to have some sort of presence online. I have gotten really comfortable with the camera after a long time. Took me a few years to be on that level. Just be comfortable. Hey, the camera's on. I have no problem talking, but in the beginning, I used to, there was so many issues. If you want to be on that level, go for it. Nobody's going to be judging you on that note. As long as you can bring value when you're speaking to the camera, I think there will be some return on the longer run, right? Do not expect people to call you, text you, and say, "Hey, I want to buy with you. I just saw your video." That doesn't happen right away. It takes some time. If you're good or if you're old school with traditional advertisement, those works too. Some of the agents are still advertising in the newspapers. Some of them are still pushing out postcards. We have no issues with that as long as you're satisfied with it. You want to push them out, do that, but have a strategy. Hey, I'm going to do this. If you're going to be on Zillow or any other websites to do your advertisement, do that. There are closings happening every single day. There's deals going under contract. It's just that you're not part of it and you want to be part of it. Okay. And what challenges are you facing in the current market? This whole year we went through this. The market conditions, right? The interest rates are super high. My clients are ready, simply can't buy right now, right? What is your client's objections, right? The price is too high. The house needs a lot of work. I'm just not ready. All this is going to be your part of your communication that you're having with your client. And the competition. You're competing. We have 70 agents within our office, and you're competing with thousands and thousands of other realtors out there. And trust me, once they have your client, they're going to hold on, to them for as long as possible and close that deal. And guess what? Who wins in this situation when there's competition is your buyers. If there's two agents, running around and trying to find the best property for them, the client wins. And your negotiation skills have to be on top notch. They are so critical in real estate transactions. First is going to be negotiating the commission itself, right? You have to bring value. You just can't ask anybody out there for money unless you tell them what I have to bring to the table, right? How I'm going to take you to the closing. All that part will take, take some time for you to, uh, you know, have horn, your skills and everything, but your negotiation skills has to be on top notch, right? When you're putting in the offer, you have your tools and all that. That confidence has to come over time. Okay. So it's going to be really, in 2024, the interest rate should come down. You want to focus on 2024 right now. How I'm going to be under contract in January. If you start focusing in January, you will not be under contract until March. If you start today, you will be under contract in January. All right, guys. Next is that our office listings, right? You can see this in Stratus. We try to push much as possible. These are our office listings, right? One thing we want to change with us is that we want our loan officers to start coming to the open houses. So every time a listing agent is hosting an open house, notify us, notify Sukman in our office here, and she will notify our loan officers. Say, hey, Rupinder is going to be hosting an open house on Sunday from 2 to 4. Will you come? Mr. Ali is hosting an open house. Paul is hosting an open house. Or MP. All you guys are listing agents. You guys have listings. So our loan officers should go there with their business cards and their flyers, and any client that comes in, they can talk to them about the mortgage side, right? We want you guys to work as a team. Again, we always have to mention this: no kickbacks, but it's a win-win situation for your client. The client can see the listing agent, see what they have to offer. They can talk to the loan officer, see if they qualify, and go from there. Okay. We got 10 minutes left, guys. Next is your Instanet. I have few agents that called just to go through the process, but feel free to call me so I can, walk this through one on one with you guys when you're submitting your offer. If it's your first time, right? I don't want you to be stuck at some, page, and it might only take me 2 seconds to fix that. So just feel free to just ask for help. Hey, I'm on this page, or I send signatures and I'm not seeing it, or how do I, they already signed, how do I send it to the listing agent? Any scenario that you have for internet, right? Some, I had one guy say, hey, I missed dot loop. Then I reviewed this whole thing with them. He was perfectly fine with it now. So my point is that anytime you need any help with any systems, just please ask. Same thing goes for your ljagent.com. This page is very useful. Some of you guys, anybody that joined us, when we had maybe, 30 agents or less, you still have your bookmark saved as our old Zoho CRM. So if when you click on that, it will tell you you need to go to ljagent.com. You click on that link, type in the password, which we provide. I'm going to put in the chat now too, and you will have access to this page. 80% of you guys are already using this. There's no issues, but I feel like 20% of you guys need some help on this. So those are the steps. Okay. Again, setting up your goals is going to be on you. You guys are independent contractors. You guys have to be the one that's deciding how much volume I want to do next year. So set those goals, please. Our loan officers are growing. They're trying to connect with you guys. As we mentioned, these are the people that will be joining you on in open houses. Not every one of them can come, but for at least an hour or so, we will start making that happen starting next week. So if you're hosting any open house this weekend, let us know, or the following weekend. Okay. If you guys need any help, right? If you're just starting out, speak to Sheldon, Rapinder, or AP. These guys have, these are the team leaders, and they can guide you guys with any of your transactions. Okay. That will do it from my end, guys. Questions, concerns, anything on your mind? Perfect. And that's what we want to see. I mean, as long as you're saying that out loud and you have the courage to say, "Hey, I haven't closed the deal. I want to close my, 4 or 5 deals next year." That's exactly what we want. And you ask us where you need help. Yeah, "Hey, I have a client. This particular client, I'm trying to show, and nothing's happening. How can I make this happen?" Those one-on-one conversation. That's the reason I'm here for, right? But you setting up the goal, I cannot tell you, "Hey, Sclaren, you have to close five," or "Julian, you have to close five or three or whatnot," right? We don't want that. You have to be the one who's deciding that, and we can be the support to help you guys out. Okay. Yeah. So So in your case, I think one is the one of the team leaders. You should join them so they can be the guide for you. "Hey, I have this client. I'm trying to follow up. Could you make the call for me?" A team leader will definitely do that for you. Not a problem. Otherwise, if you don't want to join or if you can't join for whatever reason, I'm there to help you guys as well. But that should be your number one concern with the team leader, right? But next year, guys, this year's, wrapping up fairly quickly. Next year, we want to close a lot more deals, every one of you guys. So you guys ask for any help that you guys need.